Yeah, there you go. Well, you lean in from that side. Listen, lean in from that side. I'll lean from this side. Yeah, that's
Is it
different.
on?
Yeah,
It's
it's
on.
on. Yeah.
It's all right.
It's all right. Thank God that
New York, New York.
production meeting is
Sorry.
over.
Hope that's not the guy that wants to.
Is that the guy?
I don't know. I don't think
If it's the guy,
Fuck it. I don't know. So you know what I did?
what'd you do?
This jerk.
This jerk.
I came in here
Into the
other day.
studio,
into the studio
through security.
through security, swiped my badge,
Yeah.
and I was setting up for
Yeah.
the shoot, and I hear.
What? What?
I'm
Don't
like,
tell me.
What the fuck? Right?
The faucet again?
I left my cup in the sink
Oh,
with the faucet
my
running.
God.
Talk about
Oh,
dementia.
OLD.
Yeah.
Well, I did it the first time.
Yeah, but guess what? I think it was
Was it steamy in
all
there?
weekend. Somebody's getting a big water bill.
That
Yeah.
is unbelievable.
All right.
Maybe there's a message in that. What do you think? Stuff like that happen with a message? I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
And I pull my sleeves up.
Let
People
me,
say
let me roll up my
people say you
sleeves.
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the shot's good. People say you can't. Oops.
Oh,
Can't.
shit.
People say you can't. Oh, I'm never going to get this one out. People say you can't wear long sleeves in the summer, but you can get away with short sleeves in the winter.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's very hot today,
It is a hot day.
and I got short sleeves. I think the key is this is a light.
It's the
linen-
material.
It's a linen shirt.
Well, do you have to explain to somebody?
No, I'm just because
Are you-
I'm always doing this because I have shorties and lungies, and
Yeah. Well, when you got those arms, John, at that size, it's tough finding shirts. I mean, I know, like, Bones is going to have to be careful because after Labor Day, you can't wear white. I mean, do we still do that anymore? Right?
yeah, but he is the milkman. Oh,
The milkman.
celebrity chef.
Celebrity
But
chef.
My arms are somewhere between yours and Bones.
Now, I'll tell you, where I was today? In New Jersey? Ocean Grove. You ever been to Ocean Grove? It's not really South Jersey. It's
Are you
like,
saying Ocean Grove is just south of Asbury?
I think so.
Like in between
Near
Bradford Beach and
Neptune?
Asbury? I had a house there for 14 years.
In Ocean Grove.
Yeah.
That center of town's pretty cute.
Oh, it's the best kept secret, I think, on the East Coast.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just that one, Main Street. Is it just that one?
Well,
I was just on Main Street.
Main Street are really where the businesses are.
Yeah, yeah. Restaurants
But,
and stuff. Like
it
that.
is Ocean Grove, New Jersey, is affectionately known as God's Square Mile because it's owned by the Methodist Church. And believe it or not,
How weird is that?
and
That's
I
where
think
you are.
that it's true that the great auditorium in the center of town,
Sure.
it's a spectacular place. I've been to many events there, headliners. They have headliners in the summer there. It's kind of crazy.
Okay.
And it's really regarded as almost Vatican-esque for the Methodist Church. I think there's one other hub in the United States, plus Ocean Grove,
Yeah.
that is that higher in the
The Methodist food chain.
Yeah, in the Methodist. That's a good way of putting it. In the Methodist Church food chain. So for years, I had to pay a camp meeting association fee to the
always a
Methodist
fee.
Church, but it was $11.
Oh, I'll
Yeah.
pay it twice.
And if you
I'll pay
buy
2 years in advance.
If you buy a house there,
Yeah.
apparently it's really a kind of a 99-year lease with kind of an unfettered. We're losing our picture here. An unfettered option to renew.
Yeah.
Well, it's a moot point now for me because I sold that
Yeah,
house.
yeah,
but I think Ocean Grove is fabulous.
Wow, I can't believe that's where you were. I mean, you've only said Ocean Grove like 75,000 times. You think that would have registered at some point?
But none of us as kids went to Ocean Grove.
No, there's no action there.
And it was even less action way back when.
Sure.
Because if you noticed when you got into the town, there are big brick.
Yeah, I like
stone
that.
walls.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, every Sunday, the chains went up,
Oh,
and
wow.
you couldn't get into, and you couldn't even have a car in Ocean Grove. You had to park.
Are there guards standing there?
Well, I don't know about
Show me your
that,
papers.
But even to this day, by the
Wow.
way, so the cars had to be parked across the street by that shopping plaza where there's a bank and Clancy's Tavern used to be. I used to hang out in Clancy's Tavern,
Sure.
and then of course, the pandemic killed them off.
Wow. It's funny because the business, I was there, somebody was opening up a business, and they put in the proposal for their signage for the business. And the town told them, your blue is a little too vibrant. You're going to have to tone it down.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, but I love that. I mean, I like that old school control, but then again, is it really over the top? Your blue is too vibrant.
It's just like any other staunch algorithm dogma run construct. For instance,
Yeah.
you know, they say you're talking and they'll go but, and then they'll go, and there's always a but. There's always hypocrisy
Yeah.
hidden in the haystack of the HPC there, which stands for the Historic Preservation Committee. I know all about it because my house was hit by lightning, and then Mike
Nice.
Sabella
Yeah.
had to redo the house.
Oh, wow.
And oh my God, they just came down on us, and we had to go to their meetings. And if you weren't there at a certain time, they'd say, "Too late. You know, you got to come back next month." It was just ridiculous. Here's the point: you can't redo the windows that are from the Civil War era. You can't
Yeah.
redo your windows with fiberglass or hardy plank or PVC, whatever these new newfangled high-tech windows would be. They'd say, "Oh no, oh you can't do that, John Gallucci."
Give you the finger.
Here's what I was told. "Oh no, we have a list of glazers. Glazers are the people who redo
Yeah.
old windows, and they
Wow.
scrape the putty out and they take the glass out, or
Yeah.
they put new glass."
That's the mayor's cousin.
Well,
That's
it's got
who
to be
that is.
something like that, because
Yeah.
then here I am walking around the town with my dogs, and I'm looking at brand new PVC windows.
Yeah,
First floor, second floor, third floor.
Yeah.
I'm looking at PVC railings on the balconies, and
Oh,
they
wow.
told me, "Oh no, you must have hand hewn
Yeah.
mahogany, teak,
Oh,
shit
so-
that costs like
yeah.
a ton of
Yeah,
money." Even after a lightning strike. And it's like, you hypocrites. But if you say you hypocrites, guess
yeah,
what?
yeah, you're out of
Then
town.
your docket.
Yeah. So outside of that, I remember I had to go to a town for a special license. Okay.
That town?
Medium-sized, no, it's a medium-sized town. And you had to go at night when the town meeting, you had to go in front of the town council. But it's funny, I was getting closer to getting the license, but they said, well, first we have a meeting where we just talk, nobody can rebut, and we talk what's on the agenda. Then, an hour into that, we have a second meeting, and that first meeting was closed doors. Then they have a second meeting that's open doors where nobody can participate, but we're going to talk a little bit amongst ourselves about what's on the docket. And then the third and final meeting in the same night is the actual, here comes the John Q. public, and we're going to hear what he has to say or she, and we're going to put it up there.
Right.
I mean, really?
And then what happens is that affords them the ability that, because it's toward the end of the night,
Yeah.
that if you have an issue, they just put you back on the docket. Well, we'll see you back here in 2 months, in a month.
Well, John, this leads to me, even though we have a great system in the United States of America, so they're going to do, if they do somebody a favor at that level, a town councilman, right? Okay, the town councilman does you a favor, does me a favor. Now he becomes the mayor. He's doing a few more favors. Before you know it, he gets the county executive or some county job. He's doing everybody across the county. You just can't help but be doing favors. And, there's special preferential treatment, and that's where that quid pro quo
Yeah. Oh,
comes
yeah.
in.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
all that other stuff. So although the system is great, and there's no other system like it in the world, the evil ones will find a flaw.
Well, the evil ones instinctively
Yeah.
know how to game the system. The rest of us are fucking idiots. Sorry, we're lambs to the slaughter. And we go to the slaughter too. And this is the perfect segue for something I wanted to talk about today.
Okay.
We've mentioned it before. The lambs go to the slaughter because the lambs are generally people here that are in service to others. With a certain modicum of service to themselves. They have
Sure.
to live. But the people who slaughter the lambs
Yeah.
are the people who are here in service to themselves. And that's why they gravitate to positions of power. Over the lambs.
Let's. Should we do a countdown and an
Yeah.
introduction?
Let's do it, brother.
I didn't even know the camera was on, John. Wow, what a surprise.
Yeah, we're 10
Yeah.
minutes in.
Okay, let's do a quick countdown. Get ready. Are you in good voice? You ready? You
don't
loosened
know.
up there? All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It was a little fast, but okay.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. No. Stop. Cut. A little too fast. I thought you were in a rush. My mistake.
Rush.
I don't want to go too slow. All right, so I'll go to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast that's been torpedoed repeatedly by a ship that we won't name. And this is the Jersey Alchemist, and I'm your host, Dr. John Gerard Galucci. Celebrity Chef Bones is to my right, and to his right is...
Philip D'Angelo.
Excellent.
I picked up right on that cue this time. All right.
Right.
So that's it. So what about small town, John? I know
Yeah.
my daughter lives in a town where there was an old house on the corner, okay, at the end of her street. And the mayor of the town just happened to buy that property, okay? You know, I guess he wanted to move in. Maybe he had a family member. And then recently we saw that the house got knocked down. Beautiful old house. Oh, seems like there's a Taco Bell going in at the end of her street,
Oh, boy.
and nobody knew about. Like, how is that even possible,
So I guess
Mr.
I
Mayor?
guess it was zone business.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess the mayor might have,
Taco Bell probably laid $2 million on him for the property.
Yeah. I mean,
I have a cousin that, when he was very young, I think he was like 20 or something, he and his two cohorts from college decided that they were going to go on a hunt for kind of an abandoned restaurant bar, and they found a place. I'm not going to mention the town, but
Please
it's
don't.
North Jersey, like North Jersey. And they buy this place, and they do all the check marks. They jump through all the hoops like a bunch of French poodles at the circus, and they open up a club, bar, restaurant. And they were, I think, in the first year of production, and the cash was starting to ramp up. And I guess they felt good about themselves to a degree.
okay.
And then there was a knock on the door. It was a good knock. It wasn't the boys saying, "Hey, we like your property. I think that we want to buy it." It wasn't that.
Yeah.
It was CVS.
Oh,
And their property was corner property. And CVS likes corner properties.
sure.
$2 million.
A
For the old dump that was, it was ramping up slowly. You got to give it to those guys, but they looked at each other and they had a production meeting, a company high-level meeting, and they decided, you know what? Wow,
That's
$2
amazing.
million, we could do a lot with that. And I don't know that same group parlayed that money into anything else. They may have just taken the money and dropped the whole idea. But every once in a while, when you have a commercial property that's on a corner, and you don't know what to do with the property, or if you got a pizza parlor that's puttering along,
Yeah.
CVS or Walgreens just might come by.
That's a big investment. I know somebody who Burger King is on his property. 20-year leases at a time. God bless America.
Yeah.
It's something that's good.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
something
I'll
that's
tell you
good.
what, here's another story. Remember,
John, that's what we're going to do. We're going to look into commercial properties. What do you think? What do you think our chances are us finding something?
I don't know. An old friend of mine is a commercial realtor, so
I don't trust him.
well, you can't trust anyone.
He's going to want to get cut in. His other friend is going to buy it from underneath us. No.
Do you remember? You were living right next door. Remember when my parents had my grandma Angie's apartment built?
Yes,
The
I do.
construction that
Yes,
was going on.
yes.
Well, I guess in order to not get sued, although he's deceased now, the contractor that built the apartment onto the back of my grandmother's house. He was a great guy, and I remember all of his associates, and his workers. They were great. They did a great job. And it was just 2 or 3 years after he finished that job, my father was talking to him about something, and he had land around West Milford, New Jersey.
Okay.
And he bought a tract of cheap land with, woods and weeds on
Wow.
it. And probably he was thinking he was going to hold on to it, and maybe he was going to build on it, or maybe he was going to give it to his kids, in his later years. And guess what? He gets contacted by the government, some kind of geological gobbledygook. And they said, Mr. So-and-so, this is the United States government. We are interested in leasing your land for
Wow.
20 years. And to show you the government's goodwill, here's a check for $20 million.
Oh, come on.
Guess what they found on the land?
Earl.
Uranium. And don't ask me
What?
how they knew. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me whether they flew some kind of helicopter with sensors over and they could see.
One of the most rarest precious metals.
Well, I don't
know
really
if
know a
it's
lot about uranium other than
Nuclear.
the fact that Hillary Clinton sold a lot of ours to the Russians.
Wow.
But it was all Trump's fault.
Yeah. That's freaking. I have a cousin
$20
who.
million bucks.
I have a cousin who, he was just an average Joe. And one time I see him drive a Mercedes. And I'm like, where the heck did he get a Mercedes from? I wish him only the best, even though he's never wished me the best in anything.
I don't know that.
Yeah, I just know. I've been around a long time.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, he had property in Bum, Pennsylvania, in the middle of nowhere, and they found natural gas. And they leased the land.
He had a lot of gas.
Yeah, he's got a lot of. He always had hot air.
Wow.
But yeah, and they signed like a 20-year lease that they pay him monthly, and they gave him a down payment of like $100,000 or something to start off. He went and spent it on a car, which wasn't too bright. Worst investment in the world.
How much money?
$100,000.
Maybe
He didn't spend it all on a
maybe
car.
that's what you heard.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
true.
it was $1 million and $100,000.
Yeah, you know
I'd
what?
buy a car too.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, God bless. But the point is, sometimes, hey, listen, when you're born on the 13th, like I was, the 13th, listen, it's supposed to be an unlucky number, but
I don't know.
some people just fall into it. God bless them.
Yeah.
God bless them. That's amazing. Look at that property, John, along the Hudson in Bergen County, with the beautiful New York skyline across the Hudson, and we're on the Jersey side. Ridgefield Park, remember?
Oh,
It
yeah.
was a dump. It was barren. People would throw oil drums in there, and then somebody bought
was
it.
Dump from New York City.
Yeah, and then I believe a politician up there bought it, and the rest is history. They developed like 15 miles of $1 million condos overlooking this
Well,
Manhattan
what?
skyline.
Back in the day, the mob, who, kind of,
If there ever was a thing.
if there was that fictitious mob, they got themselves into chemical companies and anything they could turn a dime on.
It's a hustle.
But even if they weren't manufacturing the chemicals, they were certainly the garbage contracting services.
Oh, John,
that got
listen,
rid of the
listen,
garbage.
listen,
And
listen.
You know where they got rid of most of that garbage?
Where?
Jersey.
Jersey.
Because they treated Jersey like the sticks.
Yeah.
Who just told me this? Just
It
the
was
other
kind of
day?
like the sticks.
Oh, I know. The people that I spent the day on the beach with the other day, they're all New Yorkers. And they're like, they were reminiscing about when they were kids. And it's like, Jersey? Who wants to go to effing Jersey? There's nothing but rednecks and sticks out there.
Yeah.
And they were really talking about the Jersey Shore, recalling my younger days when I was 5, 6, 7 years old. She was right.
Yo.
She was right. The Jersey Shore were rednecks.
John.
And if you were from Newark, like my family was
Yeah,
from, and
yeah.
you had a vowel at the end of your name,
Yeah.
you better have a lot of money to buy a piece of property. Otherwise, they didn't want you down there.
No, absolutely. Hey, listen, when I moved next to you, 1974, to me that was the sticks. I went from a Group 4 school to a Group 1 school. I was like, where the hell am I?
Right.
You know?
Do you remember Steve Carrera from track camp? You do. I know you do.
What did he do? A
He
run
was
or
he was
shot put?
Shot put and discus.
I'm not
Very,
sure.
very funny kid
Yeah.
from Queens. And so once he and I got friendly, he came back to the house one day. He visited me
Okay.
because he had business. A cousin of his had a factory. You remember, what was that road where the old stone train trestle went back? Was that Bowden Road?
Bowden Road, yeah, it's
And
Bowden.
then
Single
remember
turns into one lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And remember all the way down on the left, not far from, I guess, Sessa's house, where
No names, please.
where there was this little like shitty factory by the river.
Yeah.
His cousins owned that factory. You know what they made?
What?
They made millions of injection mold plastic coffee cups and the lids.
Wow.
And he took me into there because it was part of his operation.
Yeah.
But he said to me, he goes, geez, he goes, you live in the sticks.
Yeah.
I said, what are you talking about, the sticks? I said, it's Jersey. I
Yeah.
said, we can see the Empire State Building from the top of the hill.
Yeah.
He goes, it's the sticks. He goes, I live in Queens.
Wow. He was right. That's funny because, just take a small town like Cedar Grove, where we used to live. We had the Cedar Grove Industrial Village, okay?
Oh, yeah.
How many, like 10 factories down there, John?
No, it was more than that.
12, 15 to 20. And it was packed every day. I'm going into the 70s, 80s.
You guys would know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Service.
I remember one time there was a place, El Rob. I think they made antennas for cars. And I mean, we used to produce a lot of stuff in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just one factory, and we've got a million factories in Jersey.
Right.
One piece of production in our little state, that we just don't do anymore.
What about the bridge down in Trenton?
What about the bridge? What bridge?
I don't know the name of the bridge, but I think you're on 95 coming out of Trenton.
Yeah.
And there's a famous old bridge there, and there's a big sign on the bridge. It says Trenton makes, the world takes. Well, I'm sure that's not true anymore, but it was at some point.
Well, Patterson, Silk City, right? Silk screening, Patterson, New Jersey.
Yeah.
The industrial, we were so close to we're on the eastern seaboard. And if they could float it in, they floated it in. We'd float it out, plus railroads.
Right.
I mean, it was thriving,
It was thriving.
Just think what Newark used to be. Newark was a powerhouse. Listen, Newark was just as big or as like a Brooklyn, because all my relatives either went to Brooklyn or Newark if you were Italian once you
Right.
came over.
Right.
And, that's it was everything, and industry, baseball teams, football teams,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The Newark, I can't remember the name of the football team. My uncle played for the Newark Bears.
Yeah, and there was
If there's any old timers out there, remember the Newark Bears semi-pro football. I mean, how many high schools? I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then,
My mom and dad came out of the Newark school system.
Sure.
They were Central High School kids, and everybody else went to Barringer.
Sure.
They were the big rivals. Then there was Newark West Side, East Side.
could you imagine your father being an athlete, the football games, how big they were, Barringer playing Central, and
City Stadium was,
City Stadium is huge.
yeah, it looked like the Coliseum.
And what about the cathedral?
Well, which one?
The biggest one down there, what is it?
Sacred Heart.
Is that Sacred Heart?
Well, I think
St. Pat-
Sacred Heart's the big one.
I mean, that is a beautiful structure.
Have you been inside of it?
I think
went
like
when my
100
cousin
years ago.
Junior got murdered.
Yeah, that's where they had the.
Oh yeah. It was
Oh
just-
wow.
As a matter of fact, somebody gave me a tour. They took me up into the bell tower. Yeah, it
Wow.
was really incredible.
Wow.
No, there's just a lot of history, and the architecture is just incredible.
Thriving. Well, don't forget, New Jersey, it's one of the 13 original colonies, right?
Yes.
Say what you want about New Jersey. I think it's
Yes,
just
it
because
is.
you're jealous.
Yeah.
We're one of the original 13. A lot of people that lived in Jersey went and fought for that revolution.
Right. And you know what? Every time they say Jersey on TV or on
Somebody holds their nose.
Flying podcast, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, Jersey. So I'm watching Lex Friedman the other night, and he's got a guy named Jack Barsky on.
Oh, I didn't watch that episode yet.
it's
How
a
was
great
it?
episode.
Now, Barsky's who? Soviet?
Former Soviet,
All right.
KGB spy. Probably still is. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but Lex
Friedman's
is-
probably a spy.
Yeah, but Lex is so. I want to fall asleep after he talks 3 sentences. I'm like,
Well, but
That's just my opinion.
It's okay.
and everybody has one.
Part of his appeal.
Yes,
The
yes.
intel services say, oh, this guy, his father's a genius of AI and physics, and then he came out of MIT or Drexel, then MIT.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah.
And then he's got Joe Rogan on, and he's going. So tell me,
That's how
do you
he
think-
sounds.
Do you think that any of your guests are intelligence agents, Joe? You know, and Rogan's like,
Did you see how old Joe Rogan looked in that?
he's burning himself out on growth hormone.
Oh, there's
All of those stimulants he takes. He
Eh.
takes all of those stimulants to work out, and he's got to be up for his show.
yeah. I mean, he's on TRT too, that testosterone replacement therapy, plus I don't know, growth hormone. He's always jumping in the ice tub. Outside. He's working out, hitting the heavy.
Well, look, you know what? Joe Rogan is not my age. He's younger than me by, I think, about 8 years. But look, he looks terrific, and they say...
Well, he's got no body fat. The guy's an athlete. I mean,
Yeah, and they say he's got one of the most powerful kicks in the industry.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he does, because he's been into that all of that time, and he
Yeah.
hasn't let himself go.
No,
he
God
wasn't
bless.
running around all through the night operating on babies. He was,
Yeah.
kicking a bag and doing jujitsu. I wish that I had the time.
couldn't you have operated with like wrist weights or something, and like maybe put a plastic vest on to sweat some more? I mean, you probably sweat under those hot lights.
You know what I would love to do?
What?
I would love to do a 6-month workout / controlled eating jujitsu camp.
Yeah. Have you ever done any martial arts,
Yeah, in
John?
college. Yeah.
Okay.
Koikan Karate-do. Yeah. It was a Japanese form. Ed Kalutis was the master. And
Did you get any enjoyment out of it?
I did. I got my nose squarely broken
Nice.
by one of the
A kick or a punch?
roundhouse kick.
Yeah, the kicks are
Yeah,
dangerous,
and,
man.
And I got to tell you what, I was really pissed off because it was one of the guys from West Essex High School who, as far as I'm concerned, just had an arrogance about him, and he was
Yeah.
tall and lanky and a good athlete, and I knew his older brother, and I was a Roku, I was a white belt, and he was. I think he was just going up for his black belt, or just had received his black belt. And the sensei kept kind of screaming at me that every time I went in to throw a punch or a kick or a strike,
Yeah.
I was falling way too short. And I said to him, I says, I don't know how to get close without making the contact. And then if I make the contact, he's going to take it like an affront that I'm hitting him,
Yeah, oh,
and
yeah.
we're only sparring.
Yeah.
And he's, Hajime, yeah, screaming at me. And so I went in with a straight punch and I hit him in the chest, but I didn't hit him hard. Next thing I know, my nose is hanging by the other ear.
Oh,
And
yeah,
blood
yeah.
is coming out. Mike Williams was in the class.
Okay, Mike, yeah.
And Mike was like, oh, yeah. I picked myself up the floor. Blood was everywhere, and I just walked. Sensei was like, oh, I was like, shut up, you asshole. This is your fault.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
thing I was really pissed off, I didn't mind having my nose broken. Figured adds to the profile.
Character.
What I was pissed off at was the douchebag that kicked me should have had way, way more control
Yeah.
than what he had. I think he kicked me on purpose.
100%.
In the face.
100%.
And,
You got his last name? We'll go look for him. We'll give him a little roll call.
kidding me? Like I said, I used to throw the discus against he and his brother, but I always...
And you beat him, right?
All the time.
There you
All
go.
the time.
Another sore sport. What can you do? I did Muay Thai boxing.
Oh, you did?
Which I really love. Well, I kind
Well,
of
they're
did.
big on kicks, aren't they?
Not really too many kicks. And I told him, I said, listen, with my body structure, I'm really not kicking anybody. Definitely not above the waist, that's for sure. I can't get that leg up there. So, but what this guy did, and he was a great guy. I don't talk to him much, but he was always a friend. And he was like a black belt. And do they have black belts in Muay Thai? I don't know.
You're asking me.
I don't know, but well, anyway, I said, "Oh, where do you go train?" I wanted, He goes, "Well, I'll train you. I'm looking for instead of joining a school, I'll give me a couple dollars. We'll train in my house." His wife was pregnant. He needed a couple dollars from his job. I said, "Oh, that's nice. A little one-on-one. That costs a lot of money. Instruction one-on-one."
Basement with a mat or something?
All right, yeah. So this is what it was. I go over there. We go downstairs. He's got this mat, just a regular, not a big mat. He's putting on gloves. He goes, here, put these gloves
You
on.
got to leave your brass knuckles on.
Yeah. And he goes, just don't get off the mat. Okay. So he literally beat me up for like 45 minutes to an hour, like 75 times. I mean, I don't.
So
all I know is,
you were his punch dummy.
yeah, I think he had the workout. I mean, I figured out I could take a punch, but that's my introduction to Muay Thai boxing. But I did enjoy it.
Did you take it any further? Did you learn anything?
Oh, well,
Other than how to
listen.
get hit?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because he told me about throwing a punch. You throw a punch, you turn your body a certain way because you set up the next punch. If you throw your left, everything's got to be ready to come back with a right,
Yeah.
with a left, with a right. All those combos.
Yeah.
And then if you can throw a leg, so whatever. Whatever. But it was fun. It's a great workout. It really is. And look at boxing. I mean, I'm a big boxing fan. I know you are too, right?
Me too, yeah.
Yeah.
Although I don't, the only time I would say at this stage of the game for me, that I get excited with boxing more than UFC is when there's a real interesting title bout. And I have to admit, I got completely sucked in by the Deontay Wilder Gypsy King series. I mean, wow. I mean, in the history of boxing,
I've got more muscle tone.
way up.
I've got more muscle tone than the Gypsy King. All right, and when I first, because I really didn't follow him. I thought the heavyweights were Klitschko's, and then he came and he beat one, and Deontay Wilder is just solid rock, right?
But
Just as tall.
You know who was a fighter?
Who?
Tom from Nutley's dad. And we used to go once or twice to see the fights.
Yeah.
Ice World. They used to have Friday night
Totowa.
fights, right?
Totowa, New Jersey.
Yeah, ESPN.
Yeah.
And he says to me, Johnny, he says, look at these guys. He goes, I can pick the winners right now. And I says, okay, how? He goes, everything is from transmission of power from the legs and the core.
It's all, yeah.
Right? And he was right.
Yeah.
But the point was that the guys that usually won had these big, hammy, muscular legs, like Division I legs.
Yeah, foundation.
Right?
Foundation.
Deontay Wilder has got
Skinny legs.
Bones' legs.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to admit it. That's why he wears those shorts that
Shorts.
are all the way down, like almost
Yeah.
past his knees. So, I think it was for their second fight when he wore that stupid, ridiculous.
Well,
outfit that weighed 40 pounds.
well,
and
let's
just-
talk
By the
about-
time he got in, his legs were shot. Wait a minute. You're the effing heavyweight champion of
Champion.
the world, and your legs are shot?
Well, let's talk about the first fight, Wilder and Gypsy King.
I didn't see the first fight.
Well, Wilder got the decision, but Gypsy King outboxed him. I mean, it wasn't even
the first-
close.
the first fight was.
Yeah.
I saw it in retrospect.
Yeah.
Where he
Oh.
was it the 11th or 11th. He got caught and boom, he was out. He was dead on the mat, and then he beats the count and gets up and wins the round.
He looked like the Undertaker from wrestling, the way he sat up.
Yeah.
Deontay Wilder's going like this, like he's
Right.
done, turn around, like
And then he's like, you see the look on his face? He was going
like Apollo Creed in Rocky in round
literally-
14.
Literally, like he could not believe that big mozzarella was getting off the mat.
Yeah, and he did, and then the second one, like you said, when he carried that armor in,
The second one was
when he weighed
oh,
50 pounds with that ridiculous outfit,
Right.
and then he just kicked his ass.
Well, I think his game plan after the first fight was that he realized he was going to come in heavy. I think he was 277,
Yeah,
and Wilder I think was like less than 220.
yeah.
How, I'm
218.
230. How could you be 6'5"
or whatever,
6'7"
I
and be
don't know.
less than 220? How's
Yeah,
that possible?
I don't know.
You would look like Bones, right, Bones? That's why he doesn't
Yeah.
have a driver's license.
Yeah.
And his plan, I think was to constantly be pushing Wilder back, put
Yeah.
him back. Don't let him set up
and-
the overhand right.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Or worked like to a T.
Yeah.
I guess that's coaching.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Wilder knocked out just about everybody.
He
That
did-
punch is,
He did, but then that's kind of a liability.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Because then everybody knows that the only way you're going to beat somebody is with the big overhand right.
Yeah.
Then you're not. Look, who's the best fighter in history? What's his face? Floyd Mayweather.
Oh.
Even though you may not like the guy, he's the richest athlete in sports history,
Yeah.
and he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
And and the fact that
He played the game.
what's his name? Canelo Alvarez fought him when Canelo was kind of a newbie,
Younger.
and Mayweather was playing with him. You know,
Yeah.
after the fight, he whispered into Alvarez's ear, "Oh, you're a champion. You're a champion." Blah blah. I mean, that was just to say, "Hey, look what this young guy did. He fought. He took Mayweather to a decision, whatever."
But they don't, it's not like the old days, John. In the old days, in the 70s and prior, and the 80s somewhat, no, the 80s too, all the middleweights, the Hagglers, the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Durans, they all fought each other. And if they fought once, they fought twice, they fought three times.
And then they skipped weight classes.
Yeah, Gotti, Toro Gotti, who I loved, Mickey Ward, they fought three times. Like, guys were always fighting each other. These guys like Floyd Mayweather, I'll fight Manny Pacquiao when he's 100, 20 years from now. They should have had three fights.
They should have 3 fights.
And the same thing with the Alvarez. They should have fought 2 more times after that. I mean, that's what makes history.
Well, I think the camps were both wary of each other. I think they were.
Yeah, they're afraid to get beat. I mean,
to get beat.
come on.
Right.
I know some people that are in the boxing game, and listen, it's always what you saw in the movies is probably exactly what happened. It's tainted.
Well,
it's
I told you the story, right?
yeah, I
One of
believe
my
so.
former patients from a long time ago. As a matter of fact, it was well over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I got chummy with the dad in the office. The kid needed, elective
Yeah.
surgery, whatever. It wasn't anything life-threatening. Something along the lines of a hernia.
Okay.
And then we started, chatting, and he was interested in how I got to where I was. And I says, "Well, what do you do for a living?" I think he went down that road because he wanted to tell me, because we somehow or another got on the topic
Yeah,
of
yeah.
sports and the fight game.
Yeah.
And he says, "No," he goes, I'm
Right.
an agent."
Oh wow.
I says, "Well, what kind of an agent?" He goes, "FBI." And I said, "Okay." And he looked like anybody that would be,
An accountant.
no, that's a good guess.
Yeah.
No, anybody that would be either collecting your garbage
Oh.
or driving a cement mixer.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
He says, "No," he goes, I was in and out of the fight game for years. He goes, "And that's what attracted them to me."
Oh okay.
He says, "So," he goes, "That's my specialty." And I looked at him and I said, "Let's see, what year would have this been?" This would have been like around 2000. And I said, "Are you saying that you're undercover fed in sports, but specifically the fight game, because of corruption?" He looked at me, he says, "Are you kidding me?" He says, "You think that corruption in the fight game doesn't happen?" He goes, "You think that fights aren't fixed?" He goes, "They're fixed and they're corrupt all the time."
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." Yeah.
Yeah, on YouTube, that Michael Franzese, he was involved with the fight game a little bit, and he says on a couple videos, some boxers, they almost like pro wrestling,
But pro wrestling
Yeah, yeah.
is,
Let me tell you, great athletes.
fix a scripted show.
Yeah, but let me tell you, pro wrestling has great athletes. Those guys get beat up.
Oh, sure they
They
do.
sacrifice their body, And there was no better time period than The Rock, Stone Cold.
Didn't Brock Lesnar?
He's still fighting.
He's
back
pro
now.
wrestling, right?
Yeah. Collegiate, I think an Olympic gold medal winner. I know he went to the Olympics.
Well, the only way we're going to alchemize this episode, because it was really kind of
I really enjoyed it.
a walk down memory lane.
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
Is I guess expect the unexpected when you're in a small town,
Yeah.
because small towns might lull you into thinking that everything is just, white picket fences and, hot dogs, apple pie, and Little League baseball. Small towns are where you get torpedoed really bad because maybe you do drop your guard, as opposed to Brooklyn or Queens
Yeah.
or Trenton or Newark or South LA or Chicago. I mean, those places are hotbeds for nefarious protocols. The small towns are the places where the judge is related to the chief of police.
Well, if they're not the same person.
If not the same person, it's their brother or their first cousin. and their other cousin owns the 2 gas stations in town. You know, Cedar Grove was like that a long time ago.
Yeah,
It really was. And the Jersey Shore was like that too. That's why the people that I know from New York said, Jersey, why are we going to go to Jersey? It's nothing but effing rednecks. And she was talking about back in the 60s and 70s.
Sure.
And she was right.
Sure.
She was right. You know, I don't know about an alchemization other than the frailty of the human condition is such that if you're here in service to yourself, you probably gravitate toward a position where you're controlling other people. And where would you get your jollies off in a fairly short order? Small town USA. Small town USA. You know, those towns along 95 all the way down south, or if you're going toward Myrtle Beach and you're going through those southern towns and the speed limit goes from 50 to 25 in 10 feet,
Sure.
you better jam on your brakes.
Yeah.
And then they'll stop you for jamming on your brakes.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's about it. I think
Yeah,
this
it
was a
was-
fun episode.
I really enjoyed it.
I don't think we saved the world. I
No.
think it was a good-hearted episode, and it was fun. And
Sometimes you need a little lightheartedness.
sometimes you need lightheartedness, you know.
Yeah.
Put it on when you're taking a long car ride, and your car ride will go by faster.
Amen.
So that's
Amen.
about it. Amen, brother.
Great
See
job.
you soon on the next episode of The Jersey Alchemist. You never know what the next episode holds.
That's right. John, thank you very much for this episode. If you like what we're doing, people, Bones, thank you as well. Press like, follow, and
Subscribe, people.
And-
subscribe and share.
share. Come on, SNS. Subscribe and share.
SNS.
Till next time. Peace.